All right, joining us this morning is House Justice Committee Chairperson, Batangas Representative Jervil Luistro. Representative Luistro, good morning to you.
Good morning, Karen, and good morning to all the televiewers.
All right, as the session's open today, dapat maintindihan muna ng publiko, no? Meron bang impeachment complaint sa ngayon? Kahit ano pa po ito laban sa Pangulo o sa Vice Presidente na nakasala ngayon sa House Justice Committee. Kahit isa po, meron po ba?
Right now, Karen, wala pa. No? And what I confirm, it is the first impeachment complaint against the President, which was referred already to the Office of the Speaker. Aside from that, wala na pong iba.
Okay, so let's start with this. There's the first impeachment complaint that it has now been referred to the Office of the Speaker. Does the Office of the Secretary General have the right not to accept an impeachment complaint, any impeachment complaint, just because the chief is out of the country?
You know, Karen, that is a concern that falls squarely to the judgment of the Secretary General as to how she's going to exercise the power or duty to accept the impeachment complaint and to refer the same immediately to the Office of the Speaker, given the fact that she was outside on an official business, no? Of course, I totally agree that that is ministerial for as long as it is signed, verified, and sponsored by a House member. However, during the time that the same is being filed with the Office of the Secretary General, she was out of the country on official business. And the officer next in line, of course, for me at least, I would understand how sensitive impeachment complaint is. And if there is no clear instruction, clear authority to accept the same, even myself would be apprehensive to exercise that judgment.
But what is clear with the rules? The rules state that it should be endorsed to the Office of the Secretary General. The office. The office involves a function of a whole office, right? It is ministerial at hindi nakasalalay sa isang tao. The chief of the office is not the whole office. So yan yung tanong ko. Hindi po ba malinaw? Kasi dinala po ito, di ba, sa Korte Suprema, not the same problem, but the office making discretionary decisions on how to treat impeachment complaints. This was brought precisely to the Supreme Court.
Well, as to the rules, I agree with you. It should be filed with the Office of the Secretary General. However, merong intervening facts eh. The intervening facts is that the Secretary General is not physically present and the one next in line refused to exercise judgment over the matter. So given the set of facts, I think the best person to address this question as to how it should be received concerning that she is out on an official business should be Secretary General Cheloy Garafil.
But then this is dangerous because what if the Secretary General, if we are dependent on persons or a person, what if the Secretary General goes on vacation for 3 months, is in a hospital for 6 months, goes on leave for 7 months, no Filipino citizen can file an impeachment complaint against any impeachable official, even if it is sponsored by a representative of the House? Because ganun po ang lumalabas dito we are technically being outsmarted by the law. Nagiging technicality ay wala siya. Kaya hindi pwede tanggapin.
That is why her judgment should be exercised properly, no? Pag sinabi
Oo.
naman natin
But why
exercising
does
the
it
judgment.
depend on her? This is what disturbs me as a taxpayer. Why is a constitutionally guaranteed protection of any citizen to file an impeachment complaint? Why is it now dependent on one person? Why
It is
are
not-
my rights
it is-
dependent on one person?
It is not actually dependent on one person. It just so happened that she is not physically present and the one next in line refused to exercise the judgment, no? And
Yeah,
I think what
but
is
does it make
pertinent
it
there,
dependent on people? Shouldn't the institutions be strong enough, right, to actually have the democratic process be practiced?
well, it is true that it is a constitutional process. It is a prerogative of the sovereign Filipino people. And it is in much reason that we should be cautious in implementing or exercising that judgment, no? So I understand that predicament, no? And it seems that I don't think that is deliberate because as a matter of fact, the Secretary General is on official business outside. I don't know if there was prior communication that during that day, dadating itong mga complainants to file those impeachment complaints. Because if so, that will be a different matter, no? But I don't hear from the news na merong prior communication na ganyan. What I'm saying, Karen, is yes, it is ministerial. Yes, it is a constitutional process, no? But it must be exercised with caution as well. And that is the reason why the person next in line, I believe, was so apprehensive about exercising that judgment. Because this impeachment complaint is so sensitive that it entails the extraordinary power of the Filipino people, in which case, yung judgment ng Secretary General is very crucial as to how it will be done concerning that she is out on an official business. We
Yeah.
did not say
But I
that she
think the
should...
Supreme Court has already proven in its previous decision that the Secretary General, you keep saying, is crucial. But it is that discretionary attitude of a Secretary General that the Supreme Court laid out, that they've overstepped their bounds. Remember with the Duterte impeachment, although pag-uusapan natin yan, ang point dito is this: they should not have any discretion. It's ministerial. Once it is signed, and you said another one, Representative, verified, right?
Correct.
They should not have an opinion on the matter. That's the point I'm saying, right? It should be clear, ministerial, signed, verified. The Secretary General has no right to make decisions on anything regarding that. That's my point. It's not crucial on her end. It is not. It's crucial on your end as the chief of the Justice Committee, not hers.
It is actually, you are very much correct about that, no? Hindi siya ministerial. It does not depend on the prerogative of
Wala siyang prerogative po dito, ma'am.
Correct. You are correct. But the thing is, she is not physically around. And the one next in line refused to exercise judgment.
Okay,
That's
now,
what makes the situation
choice?
crucial.
So yan ang tanong ko po. Do they have that choice? Parang ganito po yan. Kung yung chief ng PNP po ay nagbakasyon o wala, nangangahulugan ba, may discretion, ang kanyang mga tauhan hindi ipatupad ang warrant of arrest? It is the same situation. What you're telling the Filipino people now is that one person has discretion. Wala po siya eh. So the office can't act. Kasi we are back to the same Duterte problem.
That judgment, Karen, is crucial as to that particular instance on how we're going to exercise it, considering that she is outside on an official business. But definitely, wala siyang prerogative to choose whether to accept or not. Wala siyang discretion to decide whether to refuse or to accept. because this is entirely ministerial. However, given the set of facts na tumanggi nga yung person next in line to exercise the judgment, that becomes crucial on the part of the SecGen. Paano mo i-exercise yung duty na yan? Ayaw i-discharge yung faction ng the person next in line. No?
Okay.
But definitely, we have no issue about that being a ministerial duty of the Office of the Secretary General.
Okay, so my next question are two things. Did they have to turn it away? Couldn't the office have accepted it, called the Secretary General, the next in line, and say, "Ma'am, may dumating po dito na impeachment complaint. Ano po to? Signed and verified. Tatanggapin po ba natin, ma'am?" Is that a possibility? Could that have been a fair action?
I cannot actually comment on that, Karen, no? Because I do not belong to the Office of the Secretary General. I am not a privy to whatever communication is happening between the one next in line and with SecGen Cheloy Garafil, no? And that is why it is important for the SecGen to comment on this particular issue, because this is a function, a power, a duty that exclusively belongs to the Office of the Secretary General.
And the reason I think that people are quite concerned, because people are aware of Secretary General Cheloy Garafil's relationship with this administration, right? That is one. So you have citizens questioning the independence of the Office of the Secretary General. So it's incumbent upon the OSG to appear independent and for the Filipino people on this matter. So that's one. Number two, ma'am, the session has opened today. The Makabayan Bloc, the second impeachment complaint, they've announced they will try to refile it today. What happens if the Office of the Secretary General is still not there? If the Secretary General is still abroad?
Let's go to your first question, no? You are very much correct. All of us must appear independent, no? Kung tawagin natin sa batas, code neutrality, no? But nonetheless, no, this is our duty. At bagaman si SecGen Cheloy Garafil is perceived as with the administration concerning the function that she's discharging right now, I am conscious, and she should be conscious as well about that impartiality, no? So at least for us in the Congress, si SecGen, even perhaps the Speaker, and myself as Chairman of the Justice Committee, I am conscious, and I hope they are conscious as well about that independence and impartiality in as far as discharging our function in relation to impeachment process is concerned. No, that is in spite of the fact that we know we are prone to different perceptions of the people around, especially those who are very much politically inclined. No, to your second question, again, I cannot answer that, Karen. No, if the Makabayan Bloc will be coming to the office of SecGen and the SecGen is still not around, but I hope she's around already. No. Well, it depends again on the people composing the Office of the Secretary General. Who knows? Baka may instruction na. Otherwise, we might be facing the same predicament, no? That is why the presence and the comment and the judgment on the matter, at least, not on the specific act of receiving or not, because we are clear on that, that is ministerial, is very important for SecGen Garafil to exercise.
All right. Now, ma'am, take us through the process, because your position as the chairperson of the House Committee on Justice is very powerful. And we're talking about two of the most powerful officials in the land, the president and possibly soon an impeachment complaint against the vice president. So makapangyarihan po ang posisyon ninyo. Ano po ba, ma'am, ang proseso? So yung unang impeachment complaint laban sa Pangulo, nasa office na po ng Speaker. Pagkatapos po nun, ano ang mangyayari po, ma'am?
Siguro maganda, Karen, we start with sharing with our countrymen, no? Two different modes in filing an impeachment complaint. Okay? So yung number one po is by a private individual, is sponsored by a House member, which is similar to the first case of impeachment against the President, which is now pending before the office of the Speaker. No? The other way of utilizing this mode is by a complaint filed by a House member himself. Okay? So that is for the first mode. For the second mode, it can be filed by at least 1/3 of the members of the House. Yun pong second mode, that is the mode that was utilized in the impeachment complaint against the Vice President, now pending motion for reconsideration before the Honorable Supreme Court, no? So, punta muna po tayo dun sa first mode. Dun po sa first mode, from SecGen, she has to transmit it to the Speaker, quote-unquote, immediately. From the office of the Speaker, he has a period of 10 session days to transmit the same to the plenary. From the plenary, all the members have a period of 3 session days to the Justice Committee. Ulitin ko ha, from Speaker to plenary, 10 session days. From plenary to Justice Committee, 3 session days. Pagdating po sa amin, we have 5 steps to do the entire process. 1, determination of sufficiency in form. Second, determination of sufficiency in substance. Third, we have to determine, based on all the pleadings gathered, whether there is sufficient basis for impeachment complaint. Fourth, we will proceed to hearing proper, where we will be inviting the complainant, the witnesses, and even the respondent. I'm often asked, what if the respondent refused to come? It's okay. It's actually his discretion. Like any other right to be present to the hearing, if he doesn't come, it means he's waiving his right to appear the hearing or to attend the hearing. After the hearing proper, Karen, we will proceed to the last step. That is the determination of whether or not there is probable cause supporting the impeachment complaint. Whatever the decision is of the Justice Committee, we have to transmit our committee report to the plenary, which will be subject to the approval of at least 1/3 of the members of the House. If it is on the affirmative, kung ang inapprove nila is a report na may probable cause, that calls for transmittal already to the Senate. But if the approval is a report which says no probable cause, then that officially dismisses the impeachment complaint. For clarity, Karen, what's gonna happen in the Justice Committee is not yet a trial. If we will compare it to a court proceeding, that is synonymous or analogous to a preliminary investigation. The main objective is to see whether or not there is probable cause supporting the impeachment complaint. Okay? So that is in as far as the first mode is concerned. Now we go to the second mode.
Okay.
The one supported by at least 1/3. No?
Yeah.
Dito po sa second mode, from SecGen to Speaker, from Speaker to plenary, once it is approved by at least 1/3, the articles of impeachment under the Constitution and under the present rules on impeachment of the House of Representatives, it allows transmittal, immediate transmittal to the Senate. No? ito po, in layman's term, for the understanding of our countrymen, para itong express lane. Sapagkat dito po sa second mode, the one supported by 1/3, no need to refer it to the Justice Committee. From plenary, diretso sa Senate.
So actually, tama kayo, malinaw po yan kasi yan yung nangyari sa impeachment complaint laban kay dating Pangulong Joseph Estrada. 'Di ba? 1/3 inakyat sa Senado, pero ang problema, ang Korte Suprema ngayon, tama ba ito ma'am, nagdagdag sila, 'di ba, ng additional rules na ito ang kini-question po ninyo. Ang gusto ng Korte Suprema, kahit nagkabotohan ng 1/3, idaan pa rin sa Justice Committee sa House. Tama,
Well,
ma'am?
I think, Karen, the decision is silent about referring it to the Justice Committee. But what they express in the decision, there must be notice to be given to the respondent, and she should be given the opportunity to file her answer, no? At least we call that the requirement of due process, no? But this requirement actually is not currently provided under the Constitution and even under the rules on impeachment, no? So, para sa understanding po ng kalahatan, yung first impeachment complaint natin against the Vice President, on that ground na walang notice, hindi nakasagot ang respondent, was declared as unconstitutional, no? Ito po ay question ng House of Representatives via motion for reconsideration, which to this date ay hindi pa rin po nadidesisyonan ng Supreme Court. I've said this in my prior interviews, Karen, no? Medyo mahirap if the people are saying, if the people are anticipating that there will be a second impeachment against the Vice President, and if it will be under the second mode again, the one supported by 1/3 at least, medyo mahirap yung question na which direction are we going to take, no? Of course, we give our highest regard to the Supreme Court. They are the final arbiter of all the controversies concerning the implementation and interpretation of the laws. However, given the fact na unresolved pa siya, kung magkakaroon ng second, the question really is, which rule are you going to apply? Karen.
Okay. Oo. So, pag-usapan po natin itong impeachment complaint ulit laban kay Pangulong Marcos Jr. Paano po ma'am if a second complaint is accepted by the Secretary General today, right? And under the rules, the Secretary General should immediately transmit that to the Office of the Speaker. Is the Office of the Speaker or is it the House Justice Committee who decides to consolidate the complaints? When does that happen in the process?
As to who decides on the consolidation, it is the Justice Committee. Okay. As to when will it happen will happen after the referral, no? To further explain that, Karen, from the plenary to the Justice Committee, kung alin yung mauna na impeachment complaint, that triggers the running of 1-year prohibition period. And that is the Francisco ruling. Ang sabi sa ilalim ng saligang batas.
Palinaw ulit po kasi very controversial yung 1-year ruling. Para
Correct.
sa inyo po, kailan nati-trigger ulit ang 1-year ban? At what moment in time?
Based on Francisco ruling, it is the referral to the Justice Committee which completes the initiation process, no? So to my understanding, kapag may naunang isa, let us say the first impeachment complaint, it completes the initiation process, which means may nakafile ng impeachment and no subsequent impeachment complaint shall be entertained anymore, no?
So you can't consolidate. You cannot consolidate anymore.
If that is one only. Ngayon, Karen, kung magpapang-apang-abot sila sa floor and the plenary will be transmitting all these three at the same time in one transmittal, then the Justice Committee will be prompted to consolidate all three impeachment complaints.
Mm-mm. So, Representative, hearing you right now, the fears and suspicions of some critics that the impeachment complaint filed, this strategy is reminiscent of Oliver Lozano, of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. A weak complaint is filed. Majority of the House was supporting Gloria then. And then it was passed to the House Justice Committee. Wala nang ibang na-file. Are there fears? Would you say that there's basis to the fears of some netizens?
Karen, kasi ako I do not want to delve on matters really that does not fall under the jurisdiction of the Justice Committee. My perspective as the chairperson is to be ready to accept whatever impeachment complaint will be referred to the Justice Committee. If that is one, then that will bar all the subsequent impeachment complaints. If they will be transmitted at the same time, then we will be prompted to consolidate them. If this is analogous to what happened in the past, I cannot comment on that, Karen.
Okay, because some have said the second complaint supported by the Makabayan Bloc is more substantial. Some have said the first one, I haven't read the first one in great detail, ma'am, is they've described it as weak. So, ma'am, halimbawa po, the Speaker, as session opens today, tama po ba ito technically? He can already put that complaint to the floor sa plenary. Is it possible for the plenary, technically speaking, to decide to pass it to the House all within one day today? Is that possible in technicality?
Well, Karen, that is a judgment that belongs to those respective offices, no? I cannot really comment on that. Merong duty si Speaker to transmit it within 10 session days. Of course, you will understand 10 session days is so long. As to the timeliness, as to when he will be transmitting the first, the second, or the third, that judgment must be exercised by the Speaker. With regards to the referral to the Justice Committee, we are 313 members of the House of Representatives, and it really depends on them, on how they are going to transmit. And as far as the timeliness in exercising that 3 session days is concerned, the same to the Justice Committee.
Okay. Would it be within the Speaker's office, his power within the office? I'm asking you, Representative, about understanding the process. As long as it covers the 10 session days for the Speaker to choose to wait, to accept the second impeachment complaint. Kasi yung kay na Mike Defensor, yung pangatlo, sinabi na po nila hindi na daw sila magsasubmit ulit. Hindi na daw. So itong pangalawa, nasa kapangyarihan po ba ng Speaker na sabi niya, hihintayin ko yung pangalawa kung gusto niya?
Well, Karen, since he is given a period of 10 session days to include the impeachment complaint in the order of business of the plenary, it depends on his judgment. Kung anong gagawin niya, hihintayin ba niya yung pangalawa? Or uunahin ba niya yung nauna, considering na naka-refer na ito sa office niya? It depends on his judgment.
Kasi ang sinasabi niyo po ba, ma'am, the activation of the one-year ban starts exactly when the impeachment complaint lands or is submitted to the House Justice Committee? Kasi paano po yung dalawa sa consolidation? Dapat po ba sabay sila eksakto masubmit sa inyo? What if yung isa po na submit ng Tuesday, tapos yung isa po na submit ng Wednesday next week? I'm just giving an example. When does the ban start activating?
Karen, the ruling in Francisco is very clear, no? It is the referral to the Justice Committee which completes the initiation process. So once the first impeachment complaint, let us assume, no, has been referred to the Justice Committee, it is no longer possible for us to accept the second or the third, no? Now, if they will be referring it at exactly the same time, sabay-sabay, then our option will be to consolidate all of them.
Thank you for making that clear. So it would mean too that if the House does not want an impeachment complaint to prosper against any officer, they can refer to you the weak complaint immediately.
Karen, as far as we are concerned, no, we are bound by our constitutional duty, no? So we just exercise whatever our function and duty as far as whatever impeachment complaint is transmitted to us, no? But there is no discussion at all about those mechanisms because we are very much conscious about our constitutional duty as far as impeachment process is concerned.
Okay, now I want to ask you, you're in a very, I would have to say, special position right now, and it's quite interesting because in your career, the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte, you were a House prosecutor. Tama ako, ma'am, no? You were one of the 14 House prosecutors. Ngayon naman, kayo po ang chairperson ng House Committee on Justice na posibleng tumanggap ng complaint against President Marcos Jr. How can you assure the Filipino public, because you are playing two very important roles with, frankly speaking, two specific and very different interests? Some might say you would have a bias for President Marcos Jr. You already would have a bias against the Vice President because you were once a House prosecutor for her impeachment complaint.
That is why I always say, Karen, this is our constitutional duty. Our mandate is coming from the people. We are not duty bound either to the president or to the vice president. Our faithfulness is for the Filipino people, no? Me, I am very much conscious about that constitutional duty. And I am really trying to be as objective as possible, no? I'm trying to be as objective as possible, not only objective in myself, to appear objective as well in the eyes of the Filipino people. But of course, I understand, Karen, we are subject to different perceptions of the Filipino people, most especially those who are politically inclined. No, the least that we can do is to become faithful to the people, to become faithful to the Constitution, and not to look on the personalities which are subject matter of this impeachment complaint. Is stick to the facts and the rules, and I think we will be able to discharge our function to the people and to the Constitution, Karen.
Okay, pag-usapan natin naman ngayon ang possibility na may mag-file ng impeachment complaint laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. I interviewed Senator Amy Marcos and she said that may timetable daw, may magfa-file ng February. Tama po ba ang one-year ban laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte on filing an impeachment complaint ends in February? Would you remember specifically the date, ma'am?
I couldn't remember the exact date, no? But I often hear during discussions na Feb 6,
okay,
timely na ulit mag-file, no? So perhaps we filed February 5, kaya siguro people are saying Feb 6. The one-year prohibition rule ended already.
Okay, oo. Paano po yun? Halimbawa, may dalawang impeachment complaints. Diba? Bumagsak sa committee. Yung isa laban sa Pangulong Marcos Jr., yung isa laban naman sa Vice President. Which is actually, when you think about it, been quite sad for the status of the country that two of the highest officials of the land will be busy facing impeachment complaints instead of actually improving the state of the nation. Paano po yun, ma'am? Malimbawa, dalawa ang na-file, well, may isa nang na-file, dalawa ang bumagsak sa komite. Paano po yun, ma'am?
Well, I understand the challenge, no, Karen? But let me express that I have full faith and confidence to the 38 members of the Justice Committee. They have the necessary skills, knowledge, and background to investigate and examine these impeachment complaints. I think what we can do about that is to set the hearings ahead of time to make sure that there are dedicated schedules already for either or both of the impeachment complaints, no? Karen, singit ko lang I saw an Okta Research survey. Sabi, parang number 4 pa lang itong issues ng mga graft and corruption, itong political issues about impeachment, no? To the Filipino people, we perfectly understand na hindi nyo gusto to, mas gusto nyong pag-usapan ng tungkol sa hunger and poverty alleviation. But please understand as well, for as long as may nagfa-file at may dumadating sa Justice Committee, this is a constitutional mandate that we really have to face. At sabi ko nga, Karen, this is not a matter of gusto ba o ayaw ba ng Justice Committee. No, this is not our desire to hear or not to hear. This is a mandate that we have to face. So, as a matter of fact, regardless of survey, kailangan naming tindigan ito kung may dumadating na impeachment complaint before the Justice Committee.
Would you choose? No,
let me clear lang.
Go ahead. Apa.
This representation is a presiding officer.
Yes.
No? And that is why I am really maintaining my cold neutrality with regards to the discussions of all these impeachment complaints. No? And we will be participating to vote only in case of tie. So primarily, it is actually the judgment of the members of the Justice Committee.
Pero paano po yun, ma'am, no? So the Vice President has spoken and said there's a threat of another impeachment complaint against her. She already said it's another fundraising activity in Congress. I'm sure nabasa niyo po yun. You know, fundraising na naman to ng mga congressman. Di ba? Para mag-prosper ang impeachment complaint against her. How could you be perceived as neutral when you were once, actually you were one of the leaders in terms of the House prosecution team that was going to the Senate if they were to convene as a court? You were one of the front runners with the prosecution team against the impeachment complaint against the Vice President.
We have to understand, Karen, that as much as we do not want to speculate, no? Pero kung magkakaroon ng second impeachment complaint, this is entirely different from the first one, no? Kasi yung first one, it was filed, yes, under the second mode, supported by 1/3. But nevertheless, the way it will be drafted will be different from the first one. So it will require an independent or separate evaluation with regards to the sufficiency of basis in pushing for this impeachment complaint. And again, Karen, I am very much aware that in spite of my effort to become very much impartial in appreciating all these impeachment complaints, we're always subject to different perception of the people. And we cannot avoid that. What is important, I am conscious about my constitutional duty to be very independent and impartial with regards to all impeachment complaints, be it the one filed under the second mode, which will go directly from plenary to the Senate, or be it the one being filed under the first mode, which will require mandatory transmittal to the Justice Committee.
Okay. Now, we don't have enough time, but I wanted to ask you, as House resumes its session today, at least pag-usapan naman po natin ang trabaho, no? Ang trabaho po ng House. So, the House has announced that you will be prioritizing the passing of 36 LEDAC priority bills, no? So ito daw ang prioridad as the House resumes session today. Ano po ba sa 36 na ito ang makakapagbago ng buhay ng ordinaryong Pilipino?
I haven't gotten over that list of 36 bills, no? But at least those bills that I'm very much conscious about are those pronounced by the president. Because I believe that this is very important in making better the governance of the Philippine nation, no? Ang sabi niya is, one is the anti-dynasty bill.
Yeah.
Ang tagal na po ng 1987 Constitution, which prohibits dynasty, right? But to this time, wala pa tayong law defining really what political dynasty is all about. Definition pa lang, hindi pa tayo natatapos doon, di ba? So, I will be participating really with much enthusiasm in the deliberation of the anti-dynasty bill. There's also a bill on regulating the party-list system. No?
Yeah.
Kasi we observe na napakarami ng party list.
Yeah.
And of course, with all due respect to all of them, we need to streamline kung paano ba talaga yung sectoral representation. And of course, the third one is the blockchain law, which is very much important, the Cadena law, which is very much important in transparency and accountability in as far as the budget process is concerned. No? So itong tatlong ito, Karen, I will be participating with much enthusiasm. Bagaman meron po akong dalawang pending sa Committee on Appropriation, which are very much important as well. That is the Bureau of Immigration Modernization Bill and the hazard pay of prosecutors under the DOJ.
Okay, so I'm reading the 36 here from our research, the list. I'm curious. I'll read one for you and tell me if it's possible, frankly. Right to Information Bill, right? Hindi ito ang FOI. Hindi ito yun di ba? Iba po ito or pareho po ba ito, ma'am?
I am not very much certain about that, Karen. No? Parang meron nga din akong version na ganyan eh. Kasi right now, the present system requires the consent of the person before the government agency actually provide information, no? Of course, this right to information is one of our primordial rights guaranteed under the Constitution. So there should be a proper balance really. Kung kailan ba kakailanganin pa ang consent ng private individual. If, for example, he is involved in some controversies which are being investigated already by the government agency, I don't think that the consent should be necessary because definitely she will not be giving that consent for the purpose of disclosing that information. No?
Okay.
So, tamang streamlining to maintain proper balance, the constitutional right to information and the right to privacy of the Filipino people.
Okay. My last question, dagdag lang ito. There's a viewer asking right now to close. Actually, a businessman is asking, Karen, can you please ask Representative Luistro if she is willing to run for the Senate in 2028? Gusto ka daw niya. Is that a possibility at this point?
I am not inclined to entertain that idea, Karen. No?
Okay.
I am focusing on the Justice Committee and I am praying really that we should be able to discharge. I mean, the entire members, the 38 members should be in charge, should be able to discharge properly their function because this is very critical. No? Sabi ko nga, this is unprecedented. Kung talagang matutuloy yung kay VP, this is unprecedented. I think this will be the first time in history na simultaneously facing an impeachment complaint, the president and the vice president. But to the businessman, thank you for considering me for a possible senatorial. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. On that note, I want to thank you right now, House Justice Committee Chairperson, Batangas Representative Jervil Luistro. Babantayan ng taong bayan ngayong araw ang Office of the Secretary General.
I know.
Yan,
I
okay.
know.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. Head Start. We'll be right back. Thank you, ma'am.